Can't put it in your mouth. Because I'm going on a call.
A pleasant good afternoon. Pleasant good afternoon to all the parents and all those who are listening today to us on Zoom. Welcome to our 2020 Child Month Parenting Workshop. And we all going to just pause and say a word of prayer in silence. And when I say amen, we'll stop.
Yeah.
Amen. Welcome.
Amen.
On behalf of the Early Childhood Development Unit, the Ministry of Education, I extend a warm welcome to all parents joining the Zoom parenting workshop. Your presence is greatly appreciated, and I do hope that you will enjoy the sessions that are planned for this workshop. I hope that at the end of this workshop, you will have gained new ideas, knowledge, and have a fun learning experience. Once again, welcome. Our agenda, the welcome remarks, and are done by Ms. Alvis Abbott, Curriculum Officer in the Early Childhood Unit. Our next session, Coping with Mental Health Issues During COVID-19 by Ms. Aria Pringle, Curriculum Officer, Early Childhood Unit. Let's welcome Ms. Pringle as she take the chair.
Seriously, have to be there. I will, I promise. And you have to let me do the acrylics on the one. Okay. You're making me look really stupid, are you? Oh, yeah. Oh. Come in, Alex. Oh, right, you want to hear your voice. Come in, Alex. Wow, I was joking. Oh, yeah.
Minha na iso hofu pataman. Somebody down there. Unmute it. Okay, let me just look at and see.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this presentation on coping with mental issues. Okay, the topic for today is coping with mental health issues during COVID-19. Now, we know that there's a lot of things that are happening, especially in light of COVID-19. We have a lot of persons that are stressed, right? And when we look at this picture here, we see that there's a couple here and the both of them look stressed, right? So that is basically what we're going to be talking about, mental health issues. Okay, now we have a little icebreaker. And I would like some brave person, and I know we're all brave, and I want you to feel comfortable because I know it's a little bit different with Zoom. So get a little bit comfortable. And I would like for somebody to type in the chat box for me, what do you think? When you hear the word mental health, what do you think mental health means? So you can type in the chat box if you like, if you're a little bit comfortable, or you can raise your hand and turn on your video and you can let me know what you think mental health means. We're going to give you a minute. Tell me if anybody. Okay, I'll come back to the questions. Now, when we look on the screen, we're seeing positive thinking, we're seeing success, and we're seeing creativity, we're seeing change, empowerment, and so forth, right? Keep those words in mind, especially when it comes to positive thinking. Next slide. Okay, now what is mental health? Unfortunately, whenever persons think about mental health, there always tends to be some kind of a stigma attached to it. But mental health is not something that's negative, okay? Now, according to the World Health Organization 2020, they define mental health as the ability to cope despite the stresses of daily life. So whatever it is that you're going through, mental health focuses on how well you're able to go through life without it necessarily stressing you out, as we see. Okay, so mental health is not something negative. So that's one thing that I want everybody to understand. Mental health is not something negative. You can look at mental health as something like physical, just like you being able to get up and go to the doctor. It's the same thing with mental health. It focuses on your wellness of your mind. It's nothing negative. Okay. So please have a look at the video. One second.
I'm not seeing what everybody's saying.
Right, so just give us a few. The video is going to pop up just now. And just keep in mind, as I just said, that mental health is nothing that, it doesn't have anything to do with anything that's negative. Okay, so this is a lovely video on mental health. Please focus on what the words of the video are actually saying. Okay.
We all have mental health. It is just as important as physical health. It is not only about mental illness or mental disorders. This is just one part of a bigger picture. It's best to think about mental health as being on a continuum. rather than people being either mentally ill or mentally well. We are all on the continuum, and we move up and down according to factors such as our genetic makeup and upbringing, our life circumstances, and the stresses we are under. At one end of the continuum, we have mental disorders, like depression or anxiety. And at the other end, we have states of positive mental health, when we're thriving, content, and fulfilled. The aim of mental health interventions is to move people up the continuum so that they're able to reach their full potential and live satisfying lives. The World Health Organization describes mental health as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Being mentally healthy means being resilient and able to cope with difficult times, feeling in control, being confident, feeling good about yourself, managing and expressing your emotions, building and maintaining good relationships. We all experience periods when we feel stressed, worried, anxious, sad, afraid, or angry. These are all normal emotions. However, when these emotions become severe enough that it interferes with a person's ability to function daily, and these feelings become persistent over time, then it can develop into a mental health problem. There are many different types of mental disorders. When left untreated, mental disorders can be chronic and long-lasting and are associated with increased disability. They significantly have an impact on daily functioning and frequently interfere with family, social, and work responsibilities. Fortunately, there are effective treatments and evidence-based interventions available that aim to help individuals understand and cope with symptoms of mental illness. However, very few people with mental illness. This may be due to barriers such as the stigma attached to seeking help, lack of understanding of mental health, uncertainty of how to get help, or the fear of disclosing mental health problems. Research shows that stigma remains one of the biggest factors in mental health problems and getting the appropriate support they need. It is important to acknowledge that we all have mental health and have a personal responsibility to learn how we can improve and maintain our well-being in order to lead meaningful and satisfying lives. Want to learn how you can do this? Great news! Why not join one of our communities and keep exploring Maudsley Learning online?
I'm a person going for the double chocolate marzipan, in the red and black plastic, the teeth and chocolate in the red plastic. My uncle Shannon marzipan.
Okay. All right. I hope that you enjoyed that video. And as was stated, parents and everybody else that's listening, mental illness is something that is just as important as going to the doctor and checking up your physical health. Mental illness is just as important, right? So anybody has any comments about the video? Was there anything that stuck out to you with reference to the video? Okay, I see that Mrs. Seaton has her hand up. I don't know if you want to share your video, or you can type in the chat box, either or. Is everybody
Good afternoon.
hearing? Hi, good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, Mrs. Seaton, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm great.
Are you hearing me?
before the video, you asked what was mental illness. So that's why I raised my hand. But the video actually state out some of the types of mental illness that they have. I was gonna say it's regards to your emotional well-being, in which the same thing that's stated in the video. So continue.
Yay, you're on point. Good. So basically, mental health. Mrs. Seaton, right? Mrs. Seaton?
Yes.
That's your name, right? Okay, great.
Yes,
You're on
yes.
point.
Yes.
As you stated, you were able to give a little summary of what the video was about. And yes, it focuses on your emotional health, how well you're able to cope despite whatever it is that you're going through. For example, some of us have to deal with finding out that our loved ones have maybe COVID, or somebody either directly or indirectly. Somebody, you may have probably lost your job and so forth. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the presentation. But what I really want everybody to understand is mental health is just as important as physical health, because it tends to be a stigma, a negative stigma. As soon as people hear the word mental health, everybody done, oh, she crazy or he crazy. And that's not the case. Mental health, well, you're able to cope with issues. Okay? Thank you for your analysis, Mrs. Seaton. Anybody else has anything to say before you move on to the next slide? One more person. Okay, somebody unmuted their mic. You can go ahead. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Link between mental health and issues. Okay, now herein lies the link between mental health and issues, because as was stated before and from the video, that mental health focuses on how well you're able to cope, right? Now, once an individual has difficulties with coping mentally based on personal situations, that is when we would say that the person is suffering with mental issues. So that is a link there between mental health and the issues. So this is when it becomes problematic, when you are unable or you're finding it difficult to cope with your daily stresses of life. Okay? Now, please note that when we speak about mental health issues, it does not necessarily mean that it's a mental disorder, like bipolar or schizophrenia or something like that, okay? Or even a personality disorder. It could just be that you're having a lot of difficulties with handling your life, your emotional well-being. Okay, next slide. Okay, now when is mental health considered an issue? Now we see a gentleman here who is stressed, right? He's crying. You can look as though, he looks as though the whole world is caving in, and I'm sure we can all relate, right? Now, mental health becomes an issue when there are unusual behavioral patterns that go on for long periods of time. Okay, like you're waking up every morning and you're always crying. You feel like you don't want to go to work, you know, but again, sometimes you feel like we don't want to go to work, or sometimes you might feel like you don't want to leave your home. Not that, but mental health becomes an issue when it's like a repetitive thing. It keeps happening. You keep getting up every morning, you're crying, you're frustrated, you know, depression. You're starting to suffer from depression, okay? Social withdrawal. You're a person, you're a party animal. You always like to go out with your friends, wherever it is, Area 51, English Harbor, Dre's Bar, wherever it is that you would like to go out, you no longer want to. And, you know, in reference to COVID, we can't really go out now like that, right? So all of those things can aid to your issues or your mental health issues. You also find that your sleeping habits have changed, as well as your eating patterns, right? Your anxiety is skyrocketing. You're nervous to do everything. Every little thing you are nervous about it, you get what we call butterflies in your stomach, right? As well as extreme mood swings. 1 second you're happy, the next minute you're upset. You probably feel as though you have recently been getting a little bit more angrier than normal, right? So that is when you recognize that mental health, or you're having difficulties with coping, and that is when you have an issue. When these things are happening over an extended period of time, not just one-off, like today, you don't feel like you want to do anything. No, when it keeps happening over and over again, especially now with COVID. Okay? Next slide. Okay. Now, some of you may be asking, what exactly is the link? Why are we mental health in light of COVID-19, right? Now, due to the ongoing world pandemic, COVID-19, it's important, parents, for you to ensure that you take great care of your mental health, please, especially now. I know I had earlier on, like in March, April, I know, that I had mornings that I would get up and I was like, okay, I don't want to listen to the news because the news is seeing all those those bodies, talking about international news. It does something to your psyche, it does something to your emotions. And hearing when we had our first case, everybody got nervous, right? Now, the loss, there might probably be a couple parents here work in the hotel industry. So the loss of jobs, hotel workers, tourism workers, basically, taxi drivers as well too. The loss of loved ones. It doesn't necessarily have to be COVID related. Loneliness, when we had, and we still have that curfew, but back then when lockdown was at 12 o'clock, right? It was problematic because if you had married people, y'all will live in the same household. But if you're single like me and you have a relationship, you might probably have felt like maybe you're missing the person that you're with, or even a family member. We have to protect our senior citizens. So if you had a relative or maybe a parents who are up in age, that you probably didn't want to expose them, so you weren't able to go out to them, could have caused you to feel stressed, and they probably would have been stressed as well too because they felt lonely. Even the curfew now, there's certain things that that there are certain restrictions. You might not be able to see your friend, like you were able to see your friend and go out liming with them and so forth before, right? As a parent, I can imagine how stressful it is and how it was helping children with their online homework, right? That's stressful, isn't it? And the whole uncertainty of what the future holds. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. I mean, some experts are predicting a second wave, especially during the winter season. And we know that we have a very close link to New York. So none of us know what's going to happen, right? Anybody would like to share their personal experience as it relates to maybe the loss of a loved one or the loss of a job, or maybe you have some friend that spoke to you. If you're brave and willing to share, you can either type or you can share your mic. Anybody? I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, we're going to move on. Maybe something may come to you at the end of the presentation. Okay.
Hello.
Identify. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, we're hearing you.
Hello.
Hi, we're hearing you.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. We're hearing you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
I'm breaking up and you're breaking up.
Oh, it's probably the internet connection, but
I can go
we're
ahead.
hearing you. Okay, you can go ahead and share.
Okay.
Or right, you can also type in the text box or in the chat box. Mm-hmm.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. You can type because we're hearing you loud and clear over here. If there was an
Yes.
experience that you wanted to share, okay?
Yes, I wanted to.
Okay, go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear
In
you.
reference to a loss of a job.
Right.
In reference to the loss of a job.
Uh-huh.
That one is a really tough one. You know, you wake up in the morning sometimes not feeling like going to work and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't have to work today. Living in same zone over and over because I haven't been working since March. And living in the time zone over and over every day, it's mentally draining. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really is. And honestly, I swear you, and I kid you not, if I ever find a job again, or when I do find a job again, I would not even think about feeling like not going to work because I don't want to do that again.
I understand.
I don't. I really don't.
Okay.
It is something that is very important. It keeps your mental check in check.
That's true.
Whatever you have to think about while you're working, it takes your mind off of your everyday stress, your family problems, home problems, whatever problems you have. Basically, being able to work just keeps you ready. Just keeps you afloat. So
true. Mm-hmm.
It's a very hard thing not working and provide for your children mentally, emotionally. But honestly, the fact that you know you're not working because you can't work because there's no job right now, it really plays with your mental mind. It really does.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience. And don't say if, because you will get a job. You know, all of that in terms of your positive thinking, looking back at the icebreaker. So don't say if, because you're going to get a job. You know, you just have to be positive and try as much as possible to manifest those thoughts. And I understand, and I'm sending prayers out to you and anybody else that would have, you know, they're no longer working. And it also makes us realize sometimes how much we take things for granted, because earlier I just said that sometimes with, you know, mental illness or when we are stressed mentally, we don't want, like when we wake up, we're like, oh gosh, I don't want to go to work today now. And those are little things that we take for granted because now we know that there are persons now that, you know, they're out of a job. So my prayers are going out to you and anybody else. And thank you so much for sharing, right? There are two things that were typed here. It closed. Okay. All right. You can scroll up a little bit. The first one. Yeah. 1 second. Okay, right. I'm reading the chat box. Okay, I'm not sure if this was the same young lady that had shared her experience with working at a hotel. Okay, right. So try as much as possible to keep the faith as it relates to that. You know, send out your applications and so forth, and try not to be deterred, because I can imagine, and you have, you know, your families and so forth. Just try and keep the faith, because it is, I can only imagine, right, how stressful it is. Can scroll down. I saw somebody, the problem I have is the school shift for person who, yes, and I'm sure we have some persons who are teachers who are here. I can imagine how stressful it is to be working shift, and then when you come home, you have to be dealing with your children, and you also have to be dealing with your students. And I was a teacher as well too, so I understand completely. Well, I'm still a teacher. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go back to the presentation. Thank you so much for sharing. Whether you grab the mic or you type, thank you so much. No. Okay. So now we're looking at identifying mental issues in adults, okay, parents, because I spoke on the broad spectrum. Now I'm going to actually target what are the different things for you to look for in parents, and then I'm going to touch on your children, right? As I said earlier, constant crying or feeling depressed for long periods, eating, you find that you're eating too much, so you might be putting on more weight. And, you know, during COVID, during the lockdown, we were eating more. Sleeping too much, or you're probably not eating a lot, or you're probably not getting your 8 or 6 hours of sleep. Severe mood swings. You suddenly have a lot of like back pains or headaches, or like numbness in your hands. It's another one and all too. Personality change. You're married or you're in a relationship and your partner is telling you that, how come all of a sudden you're always angry, or you're always so depressed, or you're always crying, or moody, thank you. So that's something that you need to pay attention. And decreased sex drive. You're somebody that's always active, and all of a sudden you no longer want to, you're not interested at all to have sex. So those are little things that you'll know to look out in your partner. It doesn't even have to be a partner, maybe a friend of yours. Well, minus the decreased sex drive, because I hope that you won't be, you know, sleeping with your friend. But these are the different things that you can look out for if you realize that there's an adult that you know who has unusual behavior, okay? And again, it becomes an issue when these are prolonged signs, or these are prolonged behavioral patterns, okay? Now, for the little ones, okay, some of them are similar, okay? Some of them, they're very irritable, okay? You find that all of a sudden they no longer want to go to school. They always have an excuse as to why they don't want to go, okay? And especially some schools, a lady just mentioned a little while ago in terms of the shift system. So you know that, okay, my child is not going to school often. So why is she or he, why is it they don't want to go to school all the time? Parents, please look out for that, right? Again, loss or gain of weight. So we're seeing that there's some similarities between the mental issues or the unusual behavioral patterns between parents or an adult and a child. Withdrawing from family activities, always in a room. They're no longer you're accustomed to eating family dinner or probably Netflix Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays, and all of a sudden they no longer want to, they don't want to do that anymore. They just want to stay in their room. Please look out for that. And of course, what's the most troubling, basically talks of suicide, right? And they also talks of suicide for adults as well too, okay? Anybody else has any other sign that they think that is unusual, whether it's for an adult or a parent, that makes you say, okay, this person is stressed out? Any other signs you can think of other than those two that you saw? Sorry, not well, for both the parents and the child. If you have anything to type or anything to say, you can grab the line. What other signs do you think? What are the other warning signs?
Aggressiveness.
right? Aggressiveness. True. You want to expound a little bit on that? Aggressiveness in what way? If you're willing to share.
You know, to just getting angry for everything fast, you know, moody, like being very aggressive over simple things. I've
Right.
seen that in my son, and I realized it's been inside so long, and you know, don't have nothing else to do. Bickering against the siblings, all that, and all that. It's this whole COVID take a toll on everybody so
Right.
much that it's strainful, and like I said, aggressiveness, that's one of the emotional conflicts that's on now. Not only pulling to themselves, like going their room, but being very aggressive for no reason.
That is true. And thank you so much for sharing. So, mommy, you know, you have to pay close attention to your son, right? Please, you know, just keep an eye on him, because you know that there's a change of, you know, behavior. And again, COVID-19, you're spending more time than you probably used to spend before. So all of that can be stressful on him and also stressful on you as well too. So just keep a special eye on him, right, mommy? Thank you for sharing.
Will do. You're welcome.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next. Somebody else is saying that depression, Shalina, and you have also seen that in your son as well too. So parents, you know that you have to keep a close eye on your children, because you don't want them to sink deeper into depression, right? Because ongoing depression can lead to other issues that were mentioned before. Somebody else is saying, my mom has been depressed since she lost her job. And that was something that we, you know, that was spoken about. So thank you, Sophia. You know, your mom needs a lot of support, a lot of family support. Remind your mommy that you love her, you know, and tell her not to give up hope. And hopefully she's able to get a job, you know, soon. Not hopefully, we're speaking, we're manifesting it. She will get a job. So positive thinking comes into play there as well too. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, we're going to continue with the presentation. Next slide. Give us a second. Okay, so we spoke about the different issues for basically the warning signs in adults and children. Okay, now what are your triggers? And this is for both adults and children. Okay, so it's very important for you to identify what may lead to feelings of depression or mental health issues for you and your child. Okay, so if you know that there's probably a particular person, a TV show that you know when you watch, it makes you feel depressed, or it makes your child feel depressed, you know how to, you are in control of that. So you have to, you recognize that you're waking up every day and you're constantly crying and so forth. You need to know what your triggers are in order for you to prevent those things from happening. Not saying that it doesn't mean that you need professional help, but if you're able to control it, so you know, okay, let's say relationship issues, right? And I'm sure lots of us have been there. Me personally, I have been there. So you know that a relationship is not going anywhere and you're already feeling depressed. Don't keep the person around you. The person is stressing you out. So that's a trigger. I know that John stresses me out, so I don't want to be with John. I'm going to cut off John. So you have to know your triggers. And it's important for you to know your child's triggers as well too, so that you're able to, okay, to control it a little bit. Because at the end of the day, as much as we have mental health issues, if you don't recognize you have a problem, you'll never be able to get assistance. So that's the first thing. You have to recognize that you have a problem. And then when you realize that you have these triggers, and if you realize that these triggers, okay, you have tried this, You've tried A, B, C, D, and you're still unable to cope. You then know, okay, this is beyond me. So you have to talk to a professional. And we're going to talk about that just now. Okay? Now, how to cope with your mental health issues in light of COVID, and this is for the parents, okay? Taking a hot bath. We're going to start off with simple things. Taking a hot bath, that's very relaxing, and it's also a very cheap way for you to, once one of my co-workers here, right, once if you Mrs. Lake is telling me, once water is on, you take a nice hot bath, right? Spending time with your family in your home, because of, again, this is how we coping in our new normal. So whereas before you might probably be able to go and see a family member all the time, or maybe a family member that doesn't live necessarily close to you, we might not be able to see them as often. So try and spend time with your family in your home. If you live alone, you can still find some time between regular curfew hours to try and spend some time with your family or loved ones, okay? Listening to music, that is very relaxing. Meditating as well too. Just relaxing without anything, and just no phone, no internet, just sit down and just relax. You can even use music as well too. I do that. I do the meditation, right? Watching TV shows with your family, exercising as well too, and having sex, having safe sex. If you're married, I don't need to reiterate, but if you're single, you know, and let's say you're not ready for a child or what, there's certain things that you know that if you get pregnant, you know that that's then going to lead you to, you know, stress, as my coworker was telling me, right? So having sex, that's a great way of relieving your stress. Having safe sex though, okay? And these are ways how to help your child cope with their mental issues. Create a stress-free environment. If you're accustomed to nag mommy or daddy, try not to nag them because they're already stressed. Homework, online, plenty. And we were there once in terms of being a teenager or a child. Encourage an open policy where there's communication. Okay, sometimes in the Caribbean, we kind of have a kind of a thing where we don't have that, where we allow our children, is what I say. Yeah, what I say, go. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, you shouldn't try to be your child's friend in terms of you want them to, how to say it? You want to be your child's friend, but not to the point where, right, where there are no boundaries. Thank you, Mrs. Lake, right? So you have to monitor that, but create an open door policy where your child, no matter what it is, they should always feel comfortable to come and talk to you and tell you, mommy or daddy, whatever the case is. Spend time with them at home. Tell them that you love them all the time. Give them lots of hugs and stuff like that. It's very important. Kisses as well too. Create routines as well for them. Children work well, even teenagers, in routines. When they feel as though their routine has changed up, it's easy for them. Even us as adults, sometimes we have a way of going into routines, and the minute that routine is disturbed, we get flustered. So we have to remember that whereas we are adults and we can be able to handle a little bit better, they can't, right? Anybody else can think of any other way how you're able to cope with your mental issues, your mental health issues for adults or a child? No problem for being late. That's okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Jalen. Thank you so much, Jalen Richmond. I can attest to the showing of affection and the reciprocated. You see? Right. That's excellent, mommy. Keep it up. Anybody else? Even us as adults, we know that we like affection as well too. So just imagine them as well, you know? Okay, we're gonna continue. And there are many other ways for you to relieve your stress. You can be creative and think of several other ways for you to relieve your stress, or ways for you to help your child to cope in light of our new normal. Okay, my kids play lots of board games, right? Sheila, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. My kids play a lot of board games and watch movies together, cook, etc. Perfect. Right, very good. And all of those things help them to feel like a part of the family. And all those activities are relaxing, right? Right, getting them involved, that's very important. No matter their age too. Even if they are little, they could be in preschool, you can make them be a part. Of course, you're not going to send them in the kitchen to boil something, but you can make them be a part of it, you know? Right, not like back in the old time days. True? Somebody's saying something? Right, okay, now I understand. Right, it's not like back in the old days with kids. We have children, we have at different times for different measures, right? And we need to ensure that we get them involved. If you're making a little salad, or even if you ask them, what would you like to eat today? It's not you losing your power just ask them, what would you like to eat for lunch today? You know, get them involved. And right, it's important, Shanika Scotland, thank you. Being supportive no matter what, very important. Even if they come and tell you something bad and you're vexed, don't get upset with them. Try to maintain your cool, right? Thank you for sharing. And as I said, there are many other ways. All right, professional help. Now, parents, please note that if, as was mentioned before, you have noted that everything that was mentioned, you have prolonged feelings of your depression and so forth. You're feeling stressed, and it's ongoing. And you have also identified your triggers, and you've done your work in terms of cutting off certain things for the triggers that you set you off, or the triggers that you know that would set off your child, and you still know that there's an issue. Gender affairs. Okay, sorry, before I get to gender affairs, that's how you know that you're gonna need to seek professional help. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel any way. A lot of persons are walking around and we probably don't even know that they have mental illness, and mental illness is something that's very close to me because I have relatives that have suffered from it in the past, and I have relatives that are currently suffering from it as well too. So don't feel any way. It's something that we don't like, especially as Black people, we don't like to talk about it. And in the Caribbean, it's like, it's something that's shunned. And I'm hoping soon that in the future, we stop thinking about it, because stop looking at it as something that's bad or there's some stigma attached to it. Lots of people have issues. And sometimes some persons are suffering in silence, and then we hear, suicide. And we've had a couple of cases, where persons have committed suicide, right? So we hope that it doesn't ever get to that case. So if you know that you have identified your triggers and you have done what you needed to do, and you know that you have prolonged feelings, please, please, please seek professional help. Don't go and call your friend. Seek professional help. And here I have on the screen Gender Affairs. Please take down the number. They offer free counseling sessions. And I also have my personal email address. I don't do counseling, but I have some links. So if you know that there's something that's bothering you, parents, or you have a child, I have a link to a child therapist too. So, and a link for adult therapists. So if you know that, okay, maybe you wouldn't want to say it now, you can email me, ariapringle@mail, no Gmail, it's @mail.com. So I'll give you a second for you to write down the number for Gender Affairs and write down my email address. You don't have to mention it here. You can just email me and tell me, Miss Pringle, I'm having an issue. Just send the link and I'll send the number. You don't have to tell me anything. And I will forward the number of the counselors or the therapist to you. So I'll give you a second to take down the number for Gender Affairs, 560-5207. That's most adult counseling, and men, parents that are men, it's not just for women, because I know gender affairs tends to focus on women, but it's also free counseling for men as well too. And again, if you need a link, ariapringle@mail.com. Okay, next slide. We're wrapping up soon. So I hope you were able to get the number for gender affairs and you took down my email address. If you know that you're suffering severely from issues, mental issues. Excuse me. Okay, so any questions? Any questions? You can share or type.
Can I get the email address, please? Again?
My email address?
Yes, the one you just show. I never finished to write it.
Okay, sure. It's ariapringle@mail.com, not Gmail, mail.com. So again, you don't need to don't tell me your personal, it's none of my business. Just tell me, can I get the link for a therapist? And of course, this is paid, right? Gender affairs is free, but the counseling that I am telling you about, it's paid counseling. But just tell me, Ms. Pringle, send the link and I'll do that.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Yes.
Are there any questions? Because I'm wrapping up now. Anything that you'd like to share? Anything that came like a light bulb to you during this presentation? Ms. Seaton, your hand is up. You can go ahead and share. Mrs. Seaton, you had a question or something to share? Or you can grab the mic.
Hello?
Okay. Hi.
Hello?
Hi, we're hearing you.
I didn't get the number for
Gender affairs. Okay, 560-5207.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so if there are no other questions, parents, I'm giving you a big virtual hug. Thank you so much for coming, not only parents and anybody else that's listening. Thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it, and I hope that you were able to learn. So that's my hug, dear. Sending you a virtual one. I can't hug you in person. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your participation. And again, if there's anything, call the number for gender affairs, or you can email me. Don't tell me your personal business. Just tell me, can I get the link for a therapist? And I'll send you a couple, the phone numbers and the email addresses for the counselors or the therapists, okay? Take care and all the best. We're gonna go on a little break.
And thank you very much for the workshop. I learned a lot.
Okay, good afternoon, parents. My name is Craig Cole, and I'm a former education officer, former teacher. Well, once a teacher, always a teacher. And I've also been involved in many other things as a consultant for education, agri, and in other areas. I'm very happy to be with you today. And it's a pleasure to share some thoughts with you about being an entrepreneur and what it entails. I'll just begin by sharing something that might enlighten you somewhat. A few years ago, when I left the Ministry of Education, I resigned, and some looked at me and said, well, you're probably crazy because you're giving up 25 years of your life, and also you're giving up the money and the opportunities. But I just wanted to move on. And when you desire something in life and you do not go after it, what is going to happen is that eventually you'll regret it. I can tell you that 2 years ago, it wasn't an easy road. 2 years ago, I was at the US Embassy in Barbados, and I got a call. I had just gone to Barbados for one day, and I got a call. Somebody said to me, we have an urgent matter to deal with, and we would like your help. We're told that you can help us. And so we're proposing that you do a project for us, and we'll give you 5% of the value of the project. Parents, that 5% was 50,000 US. All I had to do was write a document for 2-3 days, maybe 4 at the most. And once I complete that document, once they get through, I get 50,000. You see, that's what you're worth. As an entrepreneur, you will gain things over time, but unless you give yourself a chance, you will never see that. And that is something that opened my eyes also. I was doing things for people for free, doing things for my government, for others, without putting a cost to it. But these people saw that I was worth something, and they stuck with me afterwards. What I will share with you in just a little while is an experience of what brought all of this to where I am today. And part of it would have been the experience in education. And there are other things attached. But in this short time that I have available, I'm going to share just a few things with you. Let me just say to you once again, like I said, it hasn't been easy being an entrepreneur. You will learn things over time, you'll grow, but you have to be willing. That is the most important thing. So I'll begin by sharing the Princess Margaret School experience with you. And in the school system, we wanted to develop our children into entrepreneurs. We worked with them as much as possible to get them to that stage. Again, people said when we started, people said, you're not serious. CXC already provides for that. CXC can do this, CXC can do that. Well, I can tell you something, parents, CXC does not do many things for you. In many cases, we overrate what CXC does, and we make CXC look too good. The thing is that CXC offers a lot of things, but CXC does not cater to everyone in the way in which it should. For example, we had students at Otto's Comprehensive Princess Margaret School who were not really students who were inclined to reading and to doing theory. They're practical minded, they use their hands. And so what do you do with these children when you have a syllabus that doesn't really cater to them to that extent? We did something different. We stepped outside of the box. We said, let the students create a business in school such that when they leave school, they're more able to do things on the outside. And when these crazy managers ask for experience from students who have just left school, they will be able to say, we have experience. And that's one of the things we didn't have here in Antigua. So we did that, and it took a lot of effort, but let me just show you what we did. First of all, we looked at the situation that was there at the time, and we realized that the country was going through a very difficult time. And we realized there were students who were coming, they weren't eating, they didn't have money, etc. So we created a program in which they could make money during school. We developed the Princess Margaret School program, and we took that a step further. What we did was to excite the students about learning, not just learning agri, but learning mathematics, learning English, showing them what agri can do for them. And you're wondering, why are we telling you about students when we're trying to encourage parents? Well, this is the experience that's going to help you to understand how you as a parent can do a similar thing. So in 2010, we did this, and we spoke with the principal, staff, everybody. We got them together, and we got the students organized in such a way that they were able to manage a program. They were being paid to manage the program. And Also, when they saw the benefits, they were encouraging other students and even teaching the students what they learned. So the entrepreneurial program that we developed brought students to the point where they realized they could monetize their skills. And that is what we want to tell you today. You have skills, parents have skills, no matter what the skill is. Whatever your hobby is, it can be of value to you. You just have to enjoy the effort. I like projects, that's my skill. And so I've put my all into learning as much as possible how to develop the skill and how to utilize the skill. So as you can see on your screen, the students got involved. They did a lot of work over time to develop the program. Nothing comes as an entrepreneur. I can tell you that for when I left Antigua, not everything was easy. We developed a business in Trinidad, which some Trinidadians had not seen before, and that is and other places, developed cage system for the birds, which is not common in Trinidad. And we developed a system that actually worked for a group there. And we also sought to change the CPEP program in Trinidad, which is a popular program. We brought a new dimension to that. So these are things that we have done. It took time to get us there. And we ended up eventually in Tortola, where we did some work also. So these are our kids, and they would have worked real hard. As you can see, they started out with just a plain bag. Over time, our packaging changed, and that excited the students. As an entrepreneur, you find ways to develop your product to the extent that you excite your customer. So if you look at the screen now, you will see our management team. We had a general manager, assistant manager, quality control manager, vegetable production manager, processing officers, maintenance crew, sales representatives, and a chief financial officer, all those within the school system. And the children were excited to be given those names. And they played their roles well. In fact, those who managed the money were two dyslexic girls. They were dyslexic. They were students who would get like 20, 30 for mathematics project in school or mathematics assignment because they were dyslexic. They couldn't see things the way you could see it. But when those girls had money in their hands, you don't try to cheat them because they know money. So that is what we look for. We look for children who are committed to the cause. As an entrepreneur, you have to be committed to your cause. You have to be willing to press forward and do what is necessary to get it done. So we also looked at the fact that we were helping the environment. As an entrepreneur, you don't just look out for yourself. You look out for those around you. How am I assisting others by doing what I do? One of the things I will explain to you, and you must bear this in mind at all times, you don't get where you are by yourself. Yes, you don't depend on others to get you there, but you must be willing to work with others. When I told you about getting $50,000 for a contract overnight, I didn't know everything that was required, but I knew that I knew people who could get it done. So all I had to do was contact people and say, hey, you guys want to make some money, quick money, no problem. 4 days, we have to get this done. Let's get it done. And so as an entrepreneur, I utilize my skill of communication and also interpersonal skills to get something done. And we got the program done. In fact, those people that we assisted have gotten so far that they're pressing forward with their project within Africa, the US, and other places. They're moving into different parts of the Caribbean right now. So they're doing quite well because of people like us, simple people in your community who are able to utilize skills which have been hidden for so long. And if we look at our last slide, now this is where it gets interesting for you as parents. I'm just showing you the things that the children would have done. While you look at these slides, you get an understanding that we didn't just do things with them. Say that they did things, but we're showing you that they actually did something. And also we got them involved. I must tell you while I'm at it that in one case that I remember, in terms of training the children, we went as far as to get them involved in the negotiation process. I remember one day I went to Sandals and I negotiated for us to sell chicken to Sandals. And one of the boys was there. He was often shunned by the children, called names, etc. But we got him involved because he's a guy who likes to share and talk to others. You know, he wants to be there in the limelight. So we took him on. And he got to see what it was like to negotiate an agreement. And the good thing is we didn't get the contract. It wasn't because we needed to step up in terms of certain areas where it concerns phytosanitary practices, etc., practices of cleanliness, or take, for example, if you're going to sell chicken to people, the normal backyard thing would not work for a hotel. You would have to go through certain practices of covering your hair, covering your feet, making sure that you have proper drainage, etc. All those we built into the facility later on. But he got to understand what was necessary to get it forward. And so that is what the children needed. That is what you will need as a parent. You will need the experience, and experience comes over time. Now, if you look at what is on the screen now, you will see that, first of all, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to develop an idea. Focus on what you enjoy doing. Don't go after anything because somebody says it makes money. If you don't like doing it, it's going to frustrate you. So do what you like. As I said, I like projects. I'm not perfect at it, but I enjoy doing it, and that's my drive. And then you transform your idea into a plan. Don't just go forward and say, I have an idea. Plan, organize your idea in such a way that you can monetize the idea. So you develop a plan. And then that plan can also be taken to a bank, because the next stage is acquiring funding. You will need to either go to a commercial bank or credit union. Your government here offers an entrepreneurial scheme that covers entrepreneurs, provides some measure of funding. That too you can tap into if you have the plan. You must be organized. And then also there's grant funding available. Places, sources such as the Global Environmental Fund, etc. They offer up to, I think it's 50,000 US for a project. There are different funds that are available, but you need to know how to access that money. And there are people who provide such assistance. Of course, if you have to pay somebody some money to get it done, you have to be willing to do what is necessary to get your business going. Because if you're going to make 50,000 US from a grant, and you pay somebody 1,000 to write that grant for you, or to write the request for the grant, that is nothing compared to 50. Because in the long run, you make more. I planted 4 coconut trees recently. I paid $100 for them. Coconuts sell for $5 a piece right now. Each one of those trees will produce more than 100. So I'll end up making more than $500 on each tree over its lifetime. That is the way you have to think. And then you execute the plan. Once you have gotten the money, you execute the plan. Now you have to be very rigid. You cannot have a friend, auntie, uncle, cousin, everybody dipping their hands into the thing. You can't just do it any old how because you have gotten money that is not just yours, but has been granted to you because somebody trusted you. And so you have to be able to handle the money properly. And then afterwards, once you've executed the plan, once you're running the business, you also need to bear in mind that you must manage your business responsibly. That is that you're going to make sure you avail yourself of whatever training is necessary, you upgrade your skills, you advertise to improve the business, you seek out opportunities for growth and for expansion. Don't just stay in your little space. I mean, we have been kept down for years in Antigua and in the Caribbean because we just focus on the little thing of selling t-shirts or having somebody hire us so that we can have a job. But the people who actually make money have to take a risk. And that is one of the things you have to do, take a risk. You will have to be willing to get out there and get it done if you want it done. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And finally, you review and modify as necessary. Now, as you progress in business, you will need to make changes. So you review what you're doing and you make modifications. If somebody tells you the product needs to be changed somewhat, the labeling, etc., don't take it in a bad way and say, well, you know, you just grudge me. No, you don't say that. You take your time to understand what the person is saying and to think about it. Because if you take time to listen to others, then your capacity to develop yourself and your product will improve. So you must be willing to listen. And I have gotten some persons who are around me who have helped me over time. My wife, for example, when she told me about doing things along this line, I was just willing to do whatever I wanted to do, help people. But she said to me, you have a skill, use it. We must take time to listen. Especially to your wives, right? You must take time to listen and you must take time to try. So guys, if you need some help, you can always feel free to reach out. I can promise you I'll be doing everything for you. And as I said, there are entities which provide assistance I do it also. I do consulting. I help people to write the documents, etc. It depends on what the document is. I will not go beyond what is my remit, what I can do. But the thing is that there are people out there who can help you and you can ask for advice. So parents, it has been good being with you. I'm limited on the time, but I appreciate being with you. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Do you have any questions? Is there anyone who has a question? Oh, hi. Okay, somebody says, hi, Mr. Cole. I'm not sure who it is, but hi to you also. Oh, Abia. Okay, I thought Abia out was comprehensive, right? And Abia is also a teacher right now. Okay, so, okay, there are no questions? Okay, so there's another presentation coming up. If you're, please hold on for that presentation so that they can share with you, and feel free to ask the presenter any questions which you have in mind. Thank you very much for the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, parents and viewing audience. I am Louise Joseph Ochassi. I'm the owner of Amaya's Design, and I've been an entrepreneur for the past, I feel as if it's been my entire life, but I make jewelry, accessories, totes, bags, and even clothing. And I must say, thinking of myself now as an entrepreneur can be exciting, and it has its little ticklish moments, but it's an experience that I'm still learning every single day. And for persons who are out there who feel, especially now, in these times that we live in with COVID-19, which I hate to say, but it's something that you can be an entrepreneur yourself and start to be creative, whatever it is you have within yourself, because each and every one of us have a gift, a God-given gift. So it is something for you to, if you don't know you have one, you can be very much open to finding what that is and taking it from there and making it into a business. And it could be something as simple as you love to cook. It can be something as simple as you love to talk. You know how to connect with people. You know, so during these times, we have to be so, I would say, creative. We have to be very creative. And even for myself, operating Amaya's Design, I've had to be creative in terms of finding ways to still push my business, even though we're on lockdown and things like that. And I came to a point that I had to figure out, how do I make a mask? You know, so I had to go through all that process of how to make a mask, what is the best mask that I can make, what are the masks that people love, and then incorporate how to sell a mask, because now I'm selling masks, and also incorporated that into my business in terms of I make clutches, I make head wraps. So now I do a combo. You can buy your matching bag with your matching mask or your matching head wrap with your mask. So now it's for each and every one of us to find that those creative juices within ourselves and be able to produce and even be entrepreneur. If you think you don't have a gift or something that you can do, one of the things I would say to you is that find a skill. Find a skill that you enjoy or you have some interest in. For example, I teach a beginners class at the Guard Center, and that came out after COVID-19. You know, everything had to be changed up, and that is something now that is offered. And during that time, a lot of parents, you know, started to get very much interested in picking up a skill. So they started to do this course, teaching them how to sew. I have a lot of students from the hotel industry because now they're home. They're like, I'm home, I'm not doing anything. You know, let me find something to take up my time, to occupy my mind. You know, so a lot of them are dusting off the machines that are put away in the storage rooms and all that, or buying machines, because you can get good machines now and goods for a good price, and starting to be creative, doing things they never thought they could have done. You know, so if you feel, hey, I want to do something too, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to make some money. Those are different ways that you can definitely dive into and let that creative juice flow and imagine. Your imagination can take you so far. And, you know, once you imagine, the sky is the limit. You know, you can go as far as you want to go. So it all depends on you. It all depends on you. Remember, each and every one of us has a gift. If you don't know what that gift is okay. But it's always good that you can relax and figure it out. Look at the things that you like. Look at the things that you gravitate to. You might like fashion. Maybe you can be a fashion coordinator. You know, you can dress up people, let somebody organize a photo shoot. There's so many things you can do, you know, or pick up a skill, as I said before. So it's all up to you. All is not lost at all. And just keep yourself motivated. That's what I do. I listen to motivation videos and songs every single day, because that is what gets me pumping and making me feel as, hey, everything is going to be okay, even though it's not. But I know once there is life, there is hope. And I just feel as if we can only take it to the next level. We can only keep on imagining and being creative. And I've found that during this period of time, we have been pushed out, I should say, of our comfort zone. Because I've been pushed out of my comfort zone. I'm like, I didn't think I was going to be a teacher, teaching people, teaching adults who are even older than me, who can be my mother, to sew. You know, and at first I was like, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, can I do this? COVID-19 is here. I'm getting this opportunity. And I sat on it for a few weeks and I said, you know what is there to stop you? I was listening to Steve Harvey and he said, just jump. And I heard it the same time, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to jump. So whatever is in your mind, because I'm sure there's a lot of ideas and wonderful creative stuff in your mind as parents, as guardians, just jump, just do it. Even if you fail, that's okay. But you know what? The main thing is that you tried it. Move on to the next thing. So just jump. And I just want to motivate everyone to just jump. Jump at what's in your heart. Jump what's pushing you every day, other than your children, to get out of bed. Just jump. And once you make that first jump, the sky's the limit. You're going to keep on. More things. The universe is going to be opening more things for you. You keep on. Things are going to be gravitating. You're like, oh, I was thinking of this. Where did this come from? It's always been there. It's waiting for you to jump. I'm still jumping because I have a lot of jumping to do. Plenty of jumping to do. You know, but I ain't going to stop, because once God gave me life, I'm here to do it, and you can do it too. So keep on keeping on. Keep on doing what you love to do, and let what you love to do become a motivation for you to keep on moving, keep on swimming, keep on jumping into the life that I believe God wanted for you. So I'm so happy that I could have had a little talk with you as parents and guardians. And I must say that during all of this, I'm still creating. While I was home, couldn't go anywhere other than the supermarket or the pharmacy, I was making masks. I was wrapping tumble glass, making jewelry, you know, being creative as much as I could be. So this is one of my pieces I'm wearing here, if you can see. This is one of my tumble glass necklace, wire wrapped, and also my mask. And you can be so creative when it comes to making masks and doing whatever you want to do, because you can make it your own. It's you. And so I say thank you and God bless. Does anyone have any questions for me? Any questions? Well, one of the things I should have mentioned is that, yes, I did mention I'm Louise Joseph Ochassi, but also you can contact me at 782-0584. That is 782-0584. Or if you're really excited to see some pieces, myself and about 6 other ladies, we have come grouped together, and we have a store called Wadadli Roots. Wadadli Roots, yes, and that's downstairs, the restaurant on Redcliffe Street. No, it's not Hemingway's. Yes, Hemingway's restaurant downstairs. We're downstairs there, and you can come and see all the beautiful things that are all handmade, handcrafted right here in Antigua, Barbuda. You can see some of my jewelry. You can see my head wraps, my bonnet and satin wraps. You can see my clutches, my totes, of course, mask and all that. So come out. And you can find pieces there, especially Christmas coming up. So entrepreneurship all the way. So my number is 782 again, 0584. And you can also get in contact with me on Facebook Amaya's Design, and also on IG, amayas.design. Any questions?
Hello, hello.
AMYA dot design, that's IG.
She's saying thank you. You're a very encouraging speech.
You're most welcome.
Facebook is Amaya's Design.
Amaya's Design, AMYA' Design. Hold on. Please hold on.
Well, parents and viewing audience, I hope you enjoyed today's session. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Get food for thoughts. And whatever you learned today, please put it into practice. Please be your own entrepreneur in this time of our crisis. And also we need prayer. So you have to pray hard. Work with each other. Be a team player. So from the Early Childhood Training Center, we would just like to say, we're so glad that we are able to put forward something. We normally have it in a wide setting, but this time, I think we feel proud and honored for you to hear us, and we don't put parent aside. So thank you all for attending today's workshop. Thanks to all the parents for the information, presentations. Thanks to the staff of the Early Childhood Training Center and the Ministry of Education Broadcasting Unit. These two lovely gentlemen that are here with us today. We just have to give them a round of applause. They have done their part. Thanks to my colleague. We are here at the Ministry of Education. And thanks to my colleagues, Mr. Lake and Ms. Pringle, who did that lovely presentation on mental health. To Mrs. Spencer, who is at the other end, our education officer within the unit, thanks. To the other staff members at the Early Childhood Center now sitting in, Mrs. Davis, Miss Ephraim, Mrs. Martin, Miss James, our secretary, Miss Ford, Miss Temper, and our lovely driver, Mr. Lawrence, and Mr. Nicholas. Thanks, thanks, thanks. And to all who put their hands in the wheel to steer it along the way for this Child Month 2020. Some of our program has been pushed back because of circumstances. But to you supervisors, I want to say special thank you to you and your teachers for putting out there this link to the parents that we were able this afternoon to listen to some of our presenters. So once again, supervisors, thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless. And everyone, get home safely in Jesus' name. I'm Ms. Alvis Abbott, Early Childhood Unit, Curriculum Officer Teacher. Bang! Good now. And again, remember to be your own entrepreneur because I'm also one. You see my pieces and see my zip earring? So go for it. As Louise said, jump. Jump for good cause. Jump for action. I thank you.